They say some destinies are not inherited, they are seized. When little Sophia of Anhalt-Zerbst was born, no one imagined she would become the most powerful woman on earth. A minor German princess, unwanted, unnoticed, yet destined to rewrite the fate of an empire. Before her, Russia was frozen in tradition. After her, it would awaken into an age of brilliance and fire. Her real name was Sophia. At 14, she was summoned to Russia, a foreign land of snow, incense, and whispers of power. She arrived hungry for knowledge, hungry for destiny. The court saw a shy girl. Inside lived a storm. The Russian court glittered with gold, yet rotted with intrigue. Etiquette strangled freedom. Politics whispered behind every smile. And at the center of it all stood Empress Elizabeth, powerful, unpredictable, always watching. She married the heir, Peter, a boy who loved toy soldiers more than his bride. Awkward, cruel, and unprepared for rule, he became her first enemy. Their marriage was a battlefield long before the throne. Ignored by her husband, isolated by the court, Christopher turned to books. Voltaire, Montesquieu, Diderot. She devoured the ideas of a new world. If she could not find affection, she would find purpose. Knowledge became her weapon. Rumors swirled, lovers, affairs, whispers of disloyalty. Some true, most invented. But Catherine learned the court's first rule. If they will speak anyway, make the whispers useful. Peter ascended the throne, and Russia trembled. He mocked tradition, angered the army, offended the church. In his reign of months, Catherine saw her chance, and Russia saw its salvation. In the summer of 1762, she struck. A bloodless coup led by loyal guards, whispered oaths, steel under cloaks. By dusk, Russia had a new ruler, not by birthright, but by brilliance. Catherine the Great rose. She became autocrat of all Russia, yet remained a student of enlightenment, corresponding with Voltaire, reforming laws, modernizing education. For the first time, Russia breathed the air of Europe. But power has a price. Reforms threatened nobles, freedom frightened the powerful, and Catherine stood alone between progress and rebellion. She expanded the empire, Crimea, Black Sea, vast new lands. Battles thundered, borders shifted, Russia grew into a giant. To Europe, she was unstoppable. To her enemies, terrifying. Yet inside the palace, war of another kind raged, a war of hearts. Catherine's lovers became legends: Orlov, Potemkin, Zubov. Some sought power, some passion. But only one moved her soul: Potemkin, the tempest in human form. Potemkin was her equal, bold, brilliant, unpredictable. Together they dreamed of a southern empire, new cities, new seas. Their love built monuments across continents. But the court hated her favorites. Jealousy fermented like poison. Assassination plots, forged letters, secret alliances, all aimed at the throne she guarded. Then came the firestorm, Pugachev's rebellion. A peasant claiming to be her dead husband marched with thousands. Cities burned. Russia shook. But Catherine crushed the uprising with icy resolve. She built schools for women, reformed medicine, modernized administration. Europe called her the philosopher on the throne. But she called herself simply a servant of Russia. Yet for all her strength, loneliness walked beside her. Her son schemed, nobles circled like wolves. Even her lovers aged, faded, and vanished. Foreign ambassadors mocked her private life. Pamphlets portrayed her as immoral, insatiable, monstrous. But behind the caricatures lived a woman who outthought entire nations. She brought the Enlightenment to Russia, and Russia into Europe. Museums, theaters, libraries, her empire shimmered with culture. Under Catherine, St. Petersburg rivaled Paris. But age crept quietly. Her body weakened, yet her mind sharp as frost. She refused to surrender power to anyone, especially her son. She expanded Russia to the greatest borders it had ever known, and yet her greatest fear was simple, that after her death, everything she built would crumble. When Potemkin died, something inside her shattered. Russia lost a general, she lost part of her soul. Her last years were filled with work, laws, reforms, letters. She raced against time itself, as if she knew the clock was ticking. One autumn morning, she collapsed. The woman who ruled 34 years, longer than any Russian monarch, was finally still. Russia mourned and whispered. Enemies spread obscene rumors even about her death, but time washed the lies away. She left behind cities, laws, museums, ideas, an empire reborn from ice. Historians named her great, not for power, but for transformation. To monarchists, she was a hero. To moralists, a scandal. To Russia, a mother of its golden age. Her reign taught Europe a lesson. Never underestimate a woman with ambition sharper than any sword. She took a dying empire and made it unstoppable. She took foreign ideas and turned them into Russian strength. She took a crown and made herself immortal. Centuries later, her reforms still shape laws. Her letters still inspire scholars. Her legend still burns brighter than any throne she ever sat on. They mocked her for her lovers, yet feared her for her mind. History remembers the second and forgets the first. Her empire rose by ink, not blood, by diplomacy as much as war, by vision, not accident. She turned Russia into a great power, and herself into a myth. Even today, she stands tall, a symbol of will, intelligence, and ambition. A woman who carved her name into stone. Her life was not gentle, her path not clean. But greatness is never born in comfort. She rewrote the fate of a nation. She bent history with her will. And she proved one truth: a crown does not make a ruler. Courage does. She entered Russia a foreigner. She died its greatest monarch. Her enemies called her immoral. History calls her extraordinary. Her reign lit the path for generations: science, art, expansion, culture. The world she shaped outlived the world she conquered. She had flaws, many. She made mistakes, countless. But she moved nations. And that is the measure of greatness. They wrote lies about her. She wrote history. From foreign princess to mistress of an empire, her journey carved a legend of ambition and destiny. Her story was one of desire, for knowledge, for power, for love. Desire that shaped continents. She ruled not as a woman, but as a force. Not as a queen, but as an idea. Ideas outlive empires. Catherine the Great did not fully sit on a throne. She built one, brick by brick, decree by decree, choice by choice. Her power lived in her mind, and that cannot die. Centuries later, her legacy still breathes in Russia's cities, Europe's politics, and the whispers of history. She entered the world as Sophia. She left it as great.